Hello and welcome back to Israel with Aline. We are in Jerusalem in Bethphage on the other side of the Mount of Olives. And today we are going to take the same path that Jesus took on his triumphant entry into Jerusalem on the Sunday before Easter Sunday. So if you are ready, let's get started. Today, folks, there's a sandstorm here, so you can see it looks like there's a white cloud everywhere, but I want you to look in this direction because over here is the city of Bethany, the city of Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, and it's just 2 kilometers from here. The difference is that today we are here in Israel, and Bethany is over there. It is now part of the Palestinian Authority. I have also planned for us to visit several places in the Palestinian Authority together. This also includes Bethany. But today the topic is Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem. And that's why we are here in Bethphage, in front of the main church of the place. By the way, Bethphage in Aramaic means the house of unripe figs. And here in this place is where Jesus orders his disciples to go and fetch the donkey, where he will make the journey to enter Jerusalem. But today we don't have a little donkey. Instead, we will take the same steps that Jesus did, but walking. So we are now walking from Bethphage, and we will see what amazing things are along the way. So guys, we are now climbing to the highest point of the Mount of Olives, and it's really a very, very steep climb. And now in front of us, on the other side of the wall, we can already see a building, and that is the church of Pater Noster, which means the Our Father Church. According to local Christian tradition, it was here in this place, inside a cave, where one of the times Jesus taught the Our Father prayer to his disciples. It is written, the highest mountain among them is here. The mount of the highest mountain among them is here. The mount of on one side is the city of Bethany where Martha lived. On one side is the city of Bethany where Martha, Mary, and Lazarus lived. Going up, we pass by Bethphage, where we started this walk, and we arrive at, and this will be the path that Jesus took until down there, the Kidron Valley, and he will enter through the Golden Gate that we can already see it there. Considered part of Jerusalem at that time, and yes, he is considered part of Jerusalem at that time, and yes, he is outside the walls. Another proof of this is this cemetery. Jews are always buried outside the city walls, and this cemetery already existed in the times of Jesus. But let's now start to make this colossal descent and see many fantastic places along the way. The last week of Jesus in Jerusalem will be a week that will change the history of all mankind. And that's why it's important for us to understand the importance of the place where we are now. We are literally in the place where it begins, where this colossal week opens. So literally here is where the new chapter for world history begins. And when Jesus walks this path, they receive him reciting Psalms, mainly Psalm 118, verses 25 and 26. And they are as follows in Hebrew. She cried, and in a little while we will understand why she cried, and in a little while we will understand the reason for the name of the place. But before that, we are seeing here to our right a small archaeological excavation, and we see these little stone boxes that are actually ossuaries. Some of them are even from the time of Jesus, remembering that this has been a cemetery since that time. And when Jesus arrives here, what does he see? The Temple of Jerusalem, where today is the dome, is written in Luke 19:41. And as he was approaching, it is written in Luke 19:41. And as he was approaching, seeing the city, he wept over it. Jesus foresees the future destruction of the city of Jerusalem, and that's why he cries for it. And that's why this place is known to this day as Dominus Flevit, which means in Latin, the Lord wept. And now let's go in together and see the church itself. Entering this small church that was built by the Italian architect Antonio Belluzzi, we see that it is very simple, and most of the churches here in the Holy Land really are. But look at the incredible view we have from this place. A question that is often asked is, how do we know that this is really the place of Dominus Flevitus, the place where Jesus will cry, as it is written in the book of Luke? We have to look for the archaeological remains of the place. So we see here a modern church, that is a 20th century church, but beneath it there are much older remains. Among them there is this mosaic. We are literally now walking on the mosaic of the Byzantine era, which is the first Christian period of Israel. And by the inscriptions of the place here, we also know that this place was already known as the place of Jesus crying. And we can also see here most of the places that we know. We have Byzantine remains that help us to connect with the history of the place. Here now we can see the church from the outside of it, but let's now follow our path, follow the steps of Jesus to you. The question or the issue of why Jesus came riding on a little donkey. We have two issues. The first is obviously because of the biblical prophecies of the book of Zechariah, but the second is also because the little donkey is extremely symbolic. A king at that time, if he came riding on a horse, it's a sign that he is prepared or willing to go to war. But if a king came riding on a little donkey or a donkey, it means that he came in peace. So this descent that Jesus made down the Mount of Olives, riding on a little donkey, he is telling all the people here in the region that he came in peace. And while Jesus was on the way, people would go ahead of him and throw clothes, branches, leaves. Why? We already know this tradition of going and giving honor to a person. It's going and giving honor to a person. That's what was done. So people are honoring Jesus' triumphant arrival in Jerusalem. Why is this place called the Mount of Olives? Because of the amount of people passing under it, it is full of olives. People are passing under it. It is full of olives, as we can see here. The black olives, and just out of personal curiosity, the green and black olives are exactly the same plant and the same tree. At the moment, if we leave them on the foot for a long time, they turn into black olives. But let's follow, they turn into black olives. But let's continue on our way. Today's video is dedicated to Jesus' triumphant entry that happened on the Sunday before Easter Sunday. In some churches, it is also known as the Mount of Olives. It is a very special place. For another passage of Jesus that happened here is in this place where he came on Thursday after the Last Supper. And it will be this place where he will shed his blood, where he will endure his agony, and where he will be arrested by the soldiers and taken to the house of Caiaphas. And now we have reached the lowest point of our journey, which is the Kidron Valley, which also appears several times in the Bible. And from here we can already see it there on the walls. And now we can already see it there on the walls. And now we are arriving in the old city of Jerusalem. In Jesus' times, the city had 12 gates. Today it only has 8. So the perimeter of the city has changed a bit. But this gate that we are seeing is lions, but it is known in biblical times as the sheep gate. It even appears in John 5 because sheep gate. It even appears in John 5 because the sheep pool is very close to here, but we didn't come here because of the Lion's Gate or the Messiah Gate, the Golden Gate. We came to go in there. And now we've entered the cemetery and we're going in there. And now we've entered a cemetery again, but not the same cemetery we were in before. This cemetery here, it's a Muslim cemetery, and it's much later than the times of Jesus. So in the times of Jesus, this area here was open and unoccupied. And here to our right, we can already see the Golden Gate. And here through the Golden Gate, also known as the Gate of Rahamim, the Gate of Mercy, is where Jesus entered. And here he passes and comes out directly where the Temple of Jerusalem used to be. But at this point, we can also see beyond the gate the entire Mount of Olives, much of the path we took today. So we started on the other side of the Mount of Olives. We climbed up and made this entire descent. And here we also see very well the size of the Jewish cemetery. On this side, it continues around the mountain. We can see there a small chapel that is Dominus Flevit, which is where we had the place where Jesus cried, and in the lower part, the Garden of Gethsemane, which we also passed in front of it, and then we made this entire climb. I hope you enjoyed our tour today. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos. Happy Easter to everyone, and see you next time.